Hey everybody, this is Peter Palmiotti of Making Comics and Art, and this is episode 201. And major apologies for yesterday's episode. I don't know what the heck was going on with my internet. Kept dropping out. It was a major problem. So this is Wildcat, page 8. As I open up my webcam program. Well, let's see. Let's see if I can fix that. Yeah. Of course, yesterday's episode I wanted to go well, and I was barely a part of it. I was working. As it goes. This usually takes forever. Yeah, so I'm down to the last 2 pages in the anthology. This is supposed to be the bald-headed guy. Looks like a guy with too much hair. Okay, here we go. All right, can I brightness? Yeah, I could do this. All right. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, it's better. And Salazar wants to know, why do we make comics? That is the eternal question. Bald-headed, my ears are are burning, ringing, burning. Yeah, I'm just looking. It looks like Abel Parsons kind of rushed this page a little bit. So I'm just looking at it now with a critical eye and just trying to figure out how to approach it. But yeah, why do we make comics? I know why I make comics, and you know, it's like anything. Like if you're an actor or a director or a screenwriter, then more than likely you grew up watching movies and were inspired to do that yourself. And you know, essentially anybody who's making comics now was inspired by something somewhere. You know, and I want to strive to make great comics because I've read so many great ones growing up. And to me, it's always about the art first. Because artistically speaking, there were so many at a high level that I was into. Let's see. And that's what I aspire to. You know, it's like I want to make a comic you can get into story wise, and there's more to it than, you know, just a typical superhero meets supervillain, they fight. and hero wins. Ta-da! Next villain, next issue. But yeah, it's like I think that definitely between reading comic strips first and then comic books a little later, and at this point I've read tens of thousands of books. Let's just face facts. So I'm adding a panel border because I choose to. Yeah, I think I'm going to have a little more fun with this page because it's a little looser. What is that exactly? Yeah, I'll just make this solid. Yeah, so, anybody that does anything was inspired by somebody. And, I was inspired first by the books I was reading. I was introduced to, I was told to, hey, check out this, check out that. Me and my brother were very close growing up, and we kind of collected our had our own different sort of collections. Like, I'm pretty sure we never bought the same book. Like, he was into different things and I was into different things, and then we read each other's books. So a lot more for our buck. Especially back then, there were like, I think initially I was getting comics for 20 cents, going way back when. So you get 5 books for $1. But pretty sure that didn't last long, and mostly I got 4 books for $1 at a quarter a piece. But it wasn't just Marvel and DC. There were a number of indie comics that I read and saw in my early collecting days. And I always tell people, it's like, I'm not necessarily a comic collector, I'm an art collector. Because I was always in it for the art, and you can't not be, to a certain extent. No matter how well written these books are, there's always art in them. So it's always about the art. So I'll mention next week, we have a guest off the top. So a guest coming in Monday. I was actually introduced to Monday's guest and a guest that I'll be having in April through a manager. So I never met this person, and I think his name is Chris. I could be wrong. I'll set up the stream, probably Monday. Well, if you collect art, I can sell sketch cards to you. Well, it's cheaper to buy art that's mass produced, hence comics. That's for sure. And even It's like I have a list of 40 books, no joke, that I want to pick up, and just don't have the funds right now. And like the priority is I'm trying to get a bunch of little things done once I get past that stage, which will be next week. I'll be diving into retro and diving into the graphic novel. The graphic novel I'm working on, Designated, written and created by Mark Torres, penciled by Jade Smith. I'm inking it. It's going to be a color book. I'm not sure who's going it. It's going to be published by Apex Comics Group. I got their link as well as a bunch of other links down below. If you're ever wondering, hey, where's Peter on the socials? Well, all the links are down below, but you can mostly find me on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. But yeah, I'm going to once I get rid of a bunch of little miscellaneous things, be much more focused on the graphic novel, and kind of reason like my mind has been leaning in this direction. Like the reason I did a video this past week about Speedy Inker is I have this opportunity ahead of me to work on this graphic novel, and there is a deadline, and for me to bring it in on time, I'm going to have to up my speed, but that's also something I want to do and want to focus on, not to do it every day and for every project, but I already inked essentially a issue's worth over Jade's pencils, so I got a good sense of what I'm doing with his work and that we mesh and all that. So now I want to keep up the quality, but increase the speed. So that'll definitely be an interesting adventure I have coming up. So if you haven't seen previous pages of this project, Wildcat, which there's a sign up, give IGG, otherwise known as Indiegogo, your email, so you can get notified when we go live, which Brian has said, and I forget. I got so many things going on, but it's upcoming. It's either maybe May 15th. I think it is. So I'm totally looking forward to that. All right. Like this. So I'm just altering this slightly. He has black that sort of fades out into gray. I'm just going to make that all black. I want the focus of it to be sort of the claw marks. which it's not really clear on what he's clawing into. Um, but it could very well be his body. He's clawing into something. But yeah, I'll be able to really get focused while I get back into working on retro and production and the coloring of all that. To really focus on picking up my speed in inking, because like back in the day, like I've mentioned it before, like I worked for Marvel, and a lot of what they had me doing was overnight stuff. So I can do it. It's just a matter of really keeping focused and keeping up the quality, um, and just knocking it out. What will help is an upcoming event, which I'm not sure what day it's going to be, but my girls are being fixed on the 18th. Sometime after that, they'll be shipping out to Boston to their new homes. And once they are gone from here, I'll finally be able to get a lot more work done, because my days have definitely been interrupted with too many cats here, um, and my production has definitely suffered because of that. But this was always going to be a temporary thing. Me fostering Rana and Crash. So looking forward to that, and happy that they'll be moving into new homes. And EJB with the link, he is the master. That is the Wildcats sign up sheet, or whatever, however you call it. I inked the Kirby yesterday to practice inking. Drinking Daryl was inking Jack Kirby on a live stream, and I stole the idea. I don't think that's the first time Kirby's ever been inked. But I appreciate your honesty. I never inked Kirby. One of the things I did in my first couple of years in working in comics is I knew how to up the quality of my inking, and I took out a lot of comic books, and I took out a bunch of copy paper, and I copied, like different figures. Like I would flip through a comic and copy a figure here, copy a figure there. Because it's like I was mostly focused on figures, and I figured if I can ink a person, I could pretty much ink backgrounds and everything else. And I still hold to that truth. But I think pretty sure I took out some issues of Fantastic Four that Kirby drew, maybe some Captain America, and just copied some figures. So in that sense, I inked Kirby, but probably never shared any of that because there wasn't the internet back then, and I'm not really one to hold on to a lot of my art. which is, now that we have the internet and sites to post our work to, that's where I keep most of my previous works. But that's not a great gallery either. It's kind of like everybody sees the newest stuff and doesn't dig into the previous posts. That's how it goes. Okay. But it's like, it's not only the top people working in the industry, either past or present, that inspire me to make comics. I'm also inspired by everybody, like, just the average person who decides, hey, I want to tell this story, or I came up with this character and I want to make a comic with him. And so even sort of amateur artists or whatever, like, if they got if they have the right attitude, that's inspirational too. Because nothing turns me off more than all this, like the internet nowadays, and all this hate and dislike and cancel and all that jazz. I like to be inspired. I like to be, I want to hear what people like or love. It's Den Pleager. Welcome, welcome. Hold on tightly. Don't let go. I just Googled Kirby pencils and found a Captain America drawing from Jack Kirby. I posted it on Facebook. Awesome. Welcome, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me while I babble on and get some work done. So you're going to ink that Captain America? The amazing thing now is, like, because of the internet, is that you can really find pencils from a lot of artists that you can just, find a decent scan and print it out and ink over it. I know David Finch posts a lot of high res scans somewhere for people to practice on his work. Although, it's like, I will say this: if you're an amateur or just getting into inking, don't ink over David Finch. He's an amazing penciler. But really, like, the average inker inking over David Finch makes his work looks worse. You have to be of a certain level of skill. I mean, it doesn't hurt to practice, but like, unless it makes him look better, I really wouldn't post it online. Maybe share it with your close friends or whatever. But, like, I've seen so many David Finch pencils inked online, and 90% of the time, I'm like, that doesn't look better. That looks worse. Because he's a highly skilled penciler, and it really takes a certain level of an inker to make his work shine. Heck, even some of the so-called professionals don't always do good work over him. I mean, he's just one example, but, like, there are plenty of others, like Kirby. Like, if you're even a decent average skill and you're inking Kirby, you could potentially make it look better. Although, like, Kirby's of a different era. and you might have to watch what kind of flair you're adding to his work. Because it's like, what was I looking at recently? Oh, there's the artist Chris Graves. I don't know if a lot of you know his work, but he's had some people ink him recently, and as a artist himself, his pencils and inks, his artwork is like very dark, and there's a sort of edginess to the work he's finished himself. But I've seen some of his work inked, and the inker was going for like finer details within his work. And it just, for me, it wasn't working because it's going against the style that's there. Yeah, you might want to fine tune it and slick it up a little bit. But pay attention to like this sort of what the art is saying. Don't go against the grain of what makes it great already. And Dan says, that's right, don't eat over David Finch, only Arthur Adams. Yeah, because Arthur Adams is a lot easier to ink over. I kid. It's another, you don't ink Arthur Adams unless you get a high level of skill. And Frank says, I did ink it. I also found a very cool and elaborate pencil scan of an Eastman and Bisley cover that I will be inking. If it doesn't look good, I'll just share it privately. An Eastman and Bisley, is it like a Eastman penciled it and Bisley kind of ink painted over it? Is that a Turtles cover? Now you got me curious. And Frank also says, I'll let my likes and dislikes tell me if I did Kirby justice. There you go. But we all know that's not an indicator. That's just people being nice. Especially if it's your mom liking your picture. But yeah, man, like, I'm inspired by so many people, and like obviously like there's people that inspire you more than others. Like one example is Jim Stranko. Jim Stranko, who maybe did 30 comics, if that many, and he's had a just his comic book work alone, like he's a top dog for all the incredible comic work he's done and covers, and he has a high level of skill and a high level of design, and he had the opportunity at the time when he was really working in comics that to really break the mold in some ways and do things other people haven't. It's much harder to break the mold today. But Stranko is definitely up there of high influences. I would say like a lot of my influences when it was first working on independent comics and trying to do some decent inking in my early days. Um, I looked at a lot of Bertie Wrightson. I looked at a lot of Klaus Janson, Terry Austin. Like Terry is like, I don't think he gets enough love, but him and Byrne on X-Men were phenomenal. Um, I don't think we'll ever find somebody like Terry Austin. Let's see. I'm not sure if it was all pencils and it had both their names on it. Yes, it was TMNT. EJB says maybe Melting Pot. Is there a comic called Melting Pot? I seem to remember the title. Fine, I'll send it to you. You can be brutal. I won't take it personally. Not if it was turtles. I didn't see it. Okay, cool. I like the combination. Good choice. Good choice. But yeah, it's like I see a lot of comics, or I have seen in my time, especially in my earlier days, a lot of comics that inspire me. Some that were incredibly high art, but also some that were like more like feasible, like really just amateur artists and writers putting together their own book, and that's inspirational too because it seems more possible. That's like when you see an actor who looks like an average person, it's like, oh, I can be an actor. It's like I don't have to look like a Greek god. I could, to be in a movie or a show or whatever. So when you see an average skill person putting together their own comic, it's like, oh, it is possible for anybody to do it. I mean, we 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 and I'm talking about independent comic creators have an opportunity to really stand out by doing great comics, great art and great story. Not to drop the ball like so many before us. Like everybody drops the ball every once in a while, but like the founders of Image had a real opportunity in the first couple of years. And not every book was horrible, and some were pretty decent. But for the most case, there were a lot of forgettable books. It was splashy at the time, but none of the characters, became sort of like of the public mindset, like really lasted far beyond the years in which those books were created. And they could have, like there was eventually a lot of amazing art coming out of Image. But some, like amazing stories coming out of Image, it took years and years and years. So I know, like, I want to do a really good job of my book, and I want to do it, I'm shifting my career, and it's going to take me a little while, but eventually there'll be regular issues of retro coming out, and I want to do good quality art and good quality stories, and it's going to be an ongoing book, and I hope it becomes really really popular, so I could do it for the rest of my life, and possibly, you know. Maybe at some point I'll retire from the art and give it over to somebody else, but I'll continue writing it, or maybe I'll write it with somebody else. But it's like I want to do at least 100 issues. Um, and I was talking about like speed in the sense of inking, but um, I was watching. Maybe it was my buddies over at the Global Frequency, I think, talking about delivering, or maybe it wasn't them. I forget now, but just that it's possible to it's possible for the average creator to do at least 3 or 4 books a year, and a lot of independent titles that release single issues. Most of them do one book a year. Hey, Michael, welcome, welcome. Good to see you here. um, so yeah, that's another thing. Like it's one thing to dip your toe into creating comics, but it's also another to really be professional about it. And so as far as my own creation, I've yet to be professional about it, but I'll get there. I'll get there. They say that your first book is really the learning curve, and I have definitely done more wrong than right. But also, in a big way, I had initial funding for everything that didn't go through. So it went from, even though I did crowdfund it, but I had some paying work coming to me at the time that didn't happen, that I thought would cover like the next 3 years of income for me. So I had a scramble when that fell through. And that's not an excuse. It's like I should have had a backup plan. But, it's like I'm inspired not only to make comics, but to set a standard by which, it's like I think not everybody, but I think a lot of people should up their game as far as like the quality of books we're putting out, and how long between books there is, and more standards across the industry, like so we can really like help each other along the way. And there's a reason for standards. Yeah, Michael says, good to see you too. Yeah, Dale, I make comics to get all the ladies. So you're the one getting all the ladies. You gotta leave some left over for the rest of us. We'll mention this. So at 7 p.m., I'll be with the Genesis crew. In fact, talking about inspiration. So I guess in a way, I stole my own idea since I came up with today's discussion topic for them. um, Not sure who's going to be there besides me and Cooper, but we'll see. For those that don't know, Genesis Crew is just a bunch of people on Twitter, independent comic creators, mostly some just writers uh, that have a Twitter group that, sort of just help each other with advice and sharing each other's workout and, in multiple ways. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to, I want to say next week, but whatever I'll be getting my foster cats into new homes. It's been too long since I've only had my 3 here, and that alone. So the extra cats have led to extra extra chaos. Even though they're sweet cats, and they're just cats. They're I don't have the separate studio. My studio is in what would technically be my living room, which I don't have a problem with, but I can't keep them out of my hair if they're inside. Currently, there's only 2 inside, and they are both sleeping. Thank goodness. Uh, oh yeah, I was also I was thinking before I started the episode here tonight, I should go shopping. Damn it, if I do their Genesis Cruise show, I might not be able to go shopping. I don't know. Shopping might have to take priority. Dang it. Dang it. There's too much to accomplish. Need some food. We have a storm coming tonight into tomorrow. Supposedly we're getting a lot of snow. And Frank is talking. EJB is still on Discord. I'll send you the scan. I barely started inking, so it's going to take me longer. This is so detailed. And says to Dale, the goggles bring the ladies, the comics make them stay. Yes, didn't you know, Dale? They're in it for the goggles. But are they rose colored goggles? Because that would work. Yeah, so not exactly sure when they'll be heading out, and nothing's set in stone until it's already happening. But things look good, you know. Um, for Crash and for Rana to be in new homes. It's going to be more money out of my pocket, but it'll be worth it. They'll be in loving, loving homes. And my three are much more easy to work with, and they listen. And looking forward to that. And if I fulfill my wish of inking a lot faster, at least specifically to this graphic novel project, and get it in on time, then the months ahead will be much easier. Like the level of difficulty in my last 6 months has definitely increased. But not that there isn't a benefit to not only working hard, but struggling while you work for various reasons. And I was struggling. A lot of it was because all of a sudden I had multiple bosses and multiple projects and um, multiple people trying to buy for my attention, and I realized too late that that was a major problem. Because while it was fun initially to work on more than one thing at a time, which was my old like standard, like I'd work on one thing, finish it, hand it in, then go look for the next work. Um, I've learned so much by juggling multiple things, and I think more, going forward, it's going to be more about my own work and my own projects. I think that's the best use of my time. I got a few commission things to do as well, and I'll probably always be open to doing commissions, but I want to also just make my own art and sell that, which you can take the best ones and make prints and all that jazz, which I want to do more prints and actually get them printed. It's like I do have a couple of things like art wise that will make good prints. Just have to make the time to go print out some samples. I want to up the quality from what I did previously, which was the bare minimum kind of quality wise. EGB goes, the graphic novel project is the one with the aliens. Yes. It's called Designated Now. It was originally called Chosen Few. I forgot for a second. And it's really about a group of teenagers, young teens, who get superpowers, but they get the superpowers from the aliens, and it's a whole thing. It's a whole story. And I really look forward to seeing, it all finished and published. And uh, I did originally read the script, but that was back in 2006, maybe. Um, so it's been a long, long time, and nothing would be better than to reading the final product anyway. To seeing it colored and lettered and all that put together. So I look forward to that. EGB, I don't think I ever DM'd you. Can't find it. I thought I had added you. EGB is on Instagram if he wants to give out his Instagram. And we have Greg. Hail. There's no hell outside. We'll be having snow though. Yeah, the 3 to 5 inches or something forecast tonight into tomorrow. It's supposed to get really, really cold again, which it's been nicely a little warmer than it's been, previous past couple weeks. So weather-wise, it's been nice. And after the storm, after a couple of days of cold, we're supposed to be getting back into our decent weather. I haven't seen 70 degrees. So, but I'll believe it when I see it, because the weather reports change every day. And Frank says, I'm spying on his conversation. That's true. If it's happening in my chat, know that I am watching. So yeah, if you weren't paying attention before, this is a Wildcat anthology story that I'm inking over Abel Parsons. The link to the sign up is in the chat. Just scroll up a little bit. You'll find the link for that. This page is a little sketchier than Abel normally does. So I'm going to take a little extra effort and jazz it up a little bit, slick it up. I think it just deserves a little more than what he has down here. Next page is a lot more finished, and it is the last page. And I haven't looked at it too hardcore, but it looked pretty good. Some pages just, the artist just breezes through for whatever reason. You could say they're doing shortcuts, you could say whatever, but like, Abel has a job, he has a family. I'm happy to get his pages when he gets them to me. Really like his work. I would love to see more, but I don't think he's really capable of any steady book right now. There is a story we kind of started and didn't finish that I want to revisit and redo, like probably do a whole new outline to the story, but sort of like a cybernetic. What am I thinking of? Cyberpunk story. That I would really love for him to pencil, and I'd ink. So yes, it's something I created off the top of my head, and will actually have a couple of friends of mine as characters in the book, because I I asked around at the time I was doing it if anybody was interested. I am not taking more requests, so it's not something I do typically. You know, Greg says the easiest spy work ever. So the gold bars are hidden by the wait. Are we being watched? Yes, Frank, you're always being watched. But yeah, I hope to like outside of work I'm doing for other people. I'm going to be doing a number of short stories where I'm writing, penciling, and inking within my own books. One of which is going to be a retro issue 0, um, and that's going to be the origin of Retro's character's name. So the most obscure thing, because there's a little bit of a story to that. It doesn't reveal like Retro's origin or anything, um, which will be a bigger storyline in the book itself later on. You know, not coming out of the gate with the whole story, you know, a whole origin. Yeah, I'm gonna bide my time before I get there. You know, I guess I'm influenced by Chris Claremont to a certain degree. I just reveal more over time of characters and their motivations and all that. Not everything needs to be said on page 1. Although you know, it's like when Daredevil, I guess Miller with Klaus Jensen doing the art, or I forget when, but like, you know, probably even before that. But you go open up an average issue, and it'd be like, "Hi, I'm Matt Murdock, and I'm a lawyer by day, and by night, I'm Daredevil." And I freaking love that. But for me to get that to that place in retro, it's like I'm not sure when the prime time for telling his origin will be, but um, probably a number of key events have to happen before I get there. I'm just excited thinking about working on my comic. As soon as I can push out all this other work, I'll be getting back to it. But another thing I'm thankful for is not dropping out of the stream like yesterday, which I was doing 100 times, and I was barely able to talk. uh, yeah, so it goes. You know, eventually I'll move from where I am and be able to get better internet and You know, I'll probably get a new computer this year. It's probably be summer or later, but before I could afford one. But that part of my issue is not only the level of internet, but the quality of the computer I'm working on. My computer's like so limited, I can't even upgrade to the newest Windows at the moment, which eventually that's going to be a problem. So I got to definitely make sure that is taken care of. If you're watching and you didn't already know, I have a Patreon page. And for the most part, people have pledged there for different amounts because they want to support me and support my work. Obviously, the more money I bring in over there, the more I'll be able to do with my own projects, and the faster I could be able to do things. Eventually, I'm going to be doing a webcomic there called Worlds, inspired by a lot of things I grew up on, including and not only heavy metal. So there'll be nudity over there, as there will be in my regular comics, but not not heavy, just artistic. And Greg said, gradual reveals are the way to go. Yeah, man. It's like a lot of what I conceive seems to go that way. I do appreciate the all-in-one issue like approach. Like definitely like the first issue of Fantastic Four laid out the groundwork for a series because everything was pretty much there in the first issue. The origin, the characters, what they were going to do, and so forth and so on. But that's I won't say that's difficult to do, but it's not where my brain goes for. So it's like not sure where my brain goes. All different places. But yeah, I'm over an hour here. Unless anybody has a question, I make comics because I grew up reading them and wanted to always create one of my very own. And I've dabbled here and there, both when I was younger, before I started doing this for a living, and failed a bunch of times. And since then, I attempted to do a couple of webcomics and failed. But there's no way I'm failing with retro. I've learned so much more in the past 5 years alone. And I'm not quitting until I get, not only this first issue done, but many more to follow. So if you're watching this and you haven't given a like already, please give a like. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed. Become a patron if you're not already, and all that jazz. I make comics so you don't have to. Me specifically, or just everybody in general? But yeah, thanks for coming. Share this with your friends. Retweet it, all that jazz. Let my audience grow. My audience is slowly growing. I'm still getting subscribers. I want to pass 4,000 watched hours on my channel so I can get monetized. And Frank says, the world. It's always about the world. But yeah, I'll see you again, guys, Monday with a guest, and I'll be here all next week, and so on and so on.